Today we have an agenda, or Khalid already posted the agenda on the community call chat. So we can start. Maybe we can wait 1 minute until the community members join. Let's wait 1 more minute until we have all the more community members here. Okay, well, let's start. So the first topic of today is one important project that we want to promote with the foundation that we discussed already last week. That is the refactor of the connectors. So, well, just I will post. Let me paste here link to the proposal. Is already here in this course. This one, I paste the link in the community call chat. So, well, in that discourse thread, I posted the main idea of make a revamp of the sex connectors. The proposal is to upgrade the Bybit, Ascendex, HitBTC, Huobi Global, and Binance Perpetual connectors to the latest standards. And also we want to incorporate to the code base the FTX Perpetual, the KuCoin Perpetual, and the Gate.io Perpetual connector. So if you check the thread, also the analysis of the gap of the connectors can be found in that Notion page. If you go to that Notion page, there is a description of the proposal and the current status of the connectors. As you can see, we have like different versions. We tag them like version 2, version 1.5, 1.0 are unknown, and well, also not created. And the last update is related to the last commit that they have on GitHub. So, well, the idea is to keep track of the upgrades that we have on the connectors, the new commits, and keep this page as a source of truth of what we have in the code base. So just to make a quick description of which are these categories, the description is below the table. But there are like four versions of the connectors. The unknown are like connectors developed by the community that they are not following like any standard. They have, for example, a specific order book tracker for them, or a lot of files that are not necessary in order to develop a connector. And obviously the quality of the code is not so good as a standard connector. Then we have the connectors that are version 1.0. That is, these connectors are coded in Python. This is the first version of connectors that we have in the code base. There also the structure is not so standardized because it was like the first generation of connectors that we have in the code base, and it's not necessary that the connectors are in Python, because the most consuming task that we have in the connectors are operations that includes I/O, like making the requests and wait for the requests, and all of things. So it's not so necessary to have the code in Python. It's not you don't gain a lot of performance. So that's why Coin Alpha migrates the connectors to Python, and also it lets you debug the code. So that's why it's much more better to have the connectors in Python. Then we have the version 1.5. This version is, for example, the Bybit spot connector and the last version of Binance, for example. Well, these connectors has the following modules. They have the constants, utils, web utils, order book, auth, the data sources for order book and user stream, and the exchange class. The exchange class is a subclass of exchange base, and for spot connectors and for derivative, there is a class of exchange base and perpetual trading that opens the functionalities of the perpetual connectors, the funding rate, all those things. And this is a good version of connectors, but they have like a lot of different implementations or different names for methods that makes like the same things. So in order to standardize that a lot more, it was released a new version that is the version 2.0. This version is in Python 2 and has the same modules as the version 1.5, but the main difference is that the connectors the exchange class is a subclass of exchange pi base, and the derivatives are a subclass of perpetual derivative pi base. The only one that we have right now in perpetuals with this new version is the Bybit perpetual connector. And well, the spot connectors, we have Binance, well, all the ones that you can see in the table that are version 2.0. Binance, KuCoin, FTX, Gate, OKX, Bybit, well, and Bitmart. So, well, the proposal is to upgrade the certified connectors that are in version 1.5 or unknown version, or B or other versions, to 2.0, following the standards. And also, in order to accomplish the task, the test now has a generic class of test for exchanges. So that has to be used too, and it simplifies the work a lot. So, well, that's a proposal to upgrade the connectors in the code base. So that's why we want to improve the code base to make a much more reliable version of Hummingbot, and also to manage the bugs much more better in these kind of connectors. So the bounties for spot connectors are, as you can see in the proposal, 500k of HBots for spot connectors and 750k for derivative connectors. Well, I don't know if anyone has a question about this, or what do you think about this kind of connectors? Memento says, note that Python can be added with the augmented pure Python. There is a PR to demonstrate its application to Hummingbot. Yeah, Memento, but it's not necessary for the connectors, and also increase the complexity why it's not needed right now. If you experience a performance issue that you can demonstrate with the connectors, we can review if that is necessary. But the Coin Alpha team made some tests about the performance of using the connectors in Python versus Python, and it's like the same. So you're not gaining much more efficiency in this case, in these particular these modules, mainly because the object that has to perform and keep and make operations to make quick operations, like expensive or time consuming operations are easy. For example, the order book. And the order book is in Python. So when you are applying snapshots or you are applying a diff of the order book, that part runs in Python. And the exchange is only moving information. So that's why I think that it's okay. Well, the test results, I don't know where they are. That's why they told me when I asked why we moved the connectors from Python to Python. But well, I don't know, probably we can ask them. But that was like a business decision to move out to Python. And I think that is okay, because I use it connectors in Python and Python, and I don't see any benefits of having the connectors in Python. I see much more benefits to have the connectors in Python, because you can debug the code if you have any issue, you can check. So, well, yeah. Yeah, but it's like augmented pure Python is you will need to add some extra files, and I don't think that that's worth for this case. In this case, it's just a connector that handles the things. If you are experiencing some issues, I think that that's worth. But the most time-consuming activities that has the connectors are I/O. So that's why it's like the same to have them in Python or Python. So, well, you don't. It is .py and pxd versus pyx. pxd. Yeah, you just add the pxd file. Yeah, that could be an option, but right now it's like not needed. And also another thing is that we are moving to well, from the last 3 weeks we were working a lot with community members to solve bugs and solve issues. Probably the most of the developers that we have in the community are much more familiar with Python than Python or augmented pure Python. It's much more easy for them to just modify or code in Python. So that's why probably it's a better decision to just use Python, and anyone can understand the code without reading so much about Python. I know, because I review one of the PRs that you made about augmented pure Python, and you add the pxt file, but I think that is not necessary right now, at least until we experience some issue with the connectors or some performance issue with the connectors. But I tested the connectors, for example, to query the order book in the status format, and the order book is updating like real time. So that's why I think that is not so important. But well, I don't know if anyone has another question about this initiative, or what do you think about it? Okay. For now, I will be talking with some devs. If anyone is interested in move one of the connectors to, or refactor the existing connectors to a new version, just ping me and let me know. I'm going to try. I will try to guide or organize the work, and just have one dev working on each connector. There are some connectors that already has people interested in working on. For example, Memento wants to work in one connector. I already talked with him the other day. There is another dev called Hank Q that wants to work in the connector. So, well, if anyone is interested, let me know. Well, Memento says, what are the requirements for coder level? So, well, the thing is that coding a connector, a whole connector, is one of the most complicated tasks that we have right now in terms of developing. Probably developing a strategy is much more easy. But well, I think that you have to have some experience with async code, with WebSockets, with Hummingbot too, and with that is possible to work on it. Right now, having the exchange by base class makes the things much more easier than before. So well, that's one of the advantages of having that generic class to create the connectors. But well, I think that you have to have some experience. You have to know how to test or create tests, how to use mock that uses AO responses, that module to mock the responses of an async call. Well, you have to have some experience. It's not so much. It's not an easy task for a newbie to code a connector. The first time that I built a connector was the Bybit connector, and it took me like 2 weeks to code the connector. I haven't so much experience before with Hummingbot, and it took me like 2 weeks to create all the connector. But well, at that time, I didn't have the exchange by base class and the generic test class, so the code is much more longer than before. So well, yeah, I think that this project is like more like a budget that we are allocating for completing the task, and it's not so. We are not going to pressure too much to have the connector ready in 1 week. Probably for spot connectors, we can say, for example, 2 to 3 weeks. It will be a good time. Probably if you are working in different projects at the same time, or you have a side this is like a side job, or you're doing like a hobby. It can be done in 2 plus 3 weeks. But from 2 to 3 weeks has to be okay. But the thing is that if you are planning to take 2 months to code the connector, probably that won't be okay, because we want to have it at least 1 month after the code. The idea is that for by the end of the year, we have all these connectors, or all the certified connectors in the code base in the latest standards. So we can start the new year for all the connectors without bugs, and people using them with a lot of confidence. So that's the goal that we are trying to accomplish in the foundation. So it's okay. Well, is there another question about this initiative? There are people that is writing. It depends. How about access to Hummingbot API keys? Well, that is the thing that probably we can ask Mike, because I'm not sure that I can answer that. But Mike right now is traveling. He cannot be today, but probably we can ask Mike this on next week, that he will be present here. Or well, we can also send this message just to understand if we can provide API keys for the devs that are developing connectors. I think that you are saying this mainly because if you want to test a connector and you don't have the permissions in your country to access that exchange, I think that's why you need API keys. In that case, we can ask Mike what he thinks about this, and if it's possible for the ones that are developing a connector to access the API keys. We can ask that to him. Well, probably he let us know if it's okay or not. I think that could be a good option for those that are, for example, in the US and they don't have access to some connectors. Okay. Some exchange had some boxes and that will be sufficient. Okay, perfect. Well, the next topic of today is the PRs status. I will paste the link here of the PRs board. The idea is to review them every week. Also review the bugs that we have in the code base. So, well, one announcement is that probably tomorrow we are going to release our staging branch for the next release. So, well, the idea is that if we can include in the release, in the staging branch, the most of the PRs that are right now under review. We have the decimal to zero in performance and the KuCoin reaching API limits for fields. This is an issue because of the, well, it's an issue if you are working with a lot of orders because the rate limits of KuCoin is 9 requests to that endpoint every 3 seconds. So if you have, for example, a grid strategy with $100 orders, it will take a lot of time to request the fields of the orders for each for each order that you have in the grid. For example, if you are running a pure market making strategy with multiple levels or hanging orders, that would be a problem. I think that PR is one of the most important that we have right now on the review. In Memento is working on that. The needs dev work column is like some PRs that are not that we ask for to review or the developer don't understand the show, or we have to continue working because it is blocked until the developer can fix the problem. So that's why that column is for that. So that right now, some of the PRs that are under review has to be in that column, but I think that we can finish them quickly, so that's okay that they are under review. So it depends, says TTC. Okay. The developer that does not understand what he did. No, it's not what he did. He doesn't understand probably how to do it properly, or he has to rework the PR to make it much more better than that is right now. So probably those are the PRs. Or for example, one example also can be fix multi-search folders. That PR is trying to solve the issue, but always when the PR needs dev work, we comment on the PR or we request a review. But for example, the PR that says fix multi-search folder, that is a PR that is trying to solve the issue that of the certificate folders for the gateway, that you have a lot of different certificates and it's difficult to manage them. We put that in need dev work because we are trying to define which would be the user experience about how to manage correctly the certificates for the gateway. That's why there are some PRs that are in that column. One says, how about that bad one? Feed separate by cell hanging orders, Avellaneda. I think that this PR is yours. Yeah, but I think that this PR does not have the review on. Let me see. Because yeah, the problem is that this PR, the voting or snapshot, this one has to be is in the wrong column. The column was a closed PRP because the snapshot proposal has 0 votes, and well, nobody votes in favor of this PR. So that's why probably is in that it is not under review, but the column is wrong. So I will tell Jeremy then to change the column. So well, that's how we are managing the PRs right now. This has to be in, but probably this has to be in closed PR, or because it's not approved. So well, that's all about the status of the PRs that we have right now on the Bounties board. So on the PRs board. So now let's move to the Bounties board. This is more like informative too. This is one, the Bounties board. So well, the good thing about the process right now is that there are a lot of community members that are contributing and trying to solve bugs in the code base. We have already 10 paid bugs that the community solved. The bug, he creates the community member create a PR, the PR solves the issue, and we also paid the developer. Those are the ones that are in the column paid. So just to explain you a little bit how the process is the community managers, in this case Jeremy, is in charge of handling or moving the PRs in different columns, checking the status of the PRs and all those things. The QA team, that is the leader is Ralph, is in charge of checking the issues, validate that the issues are correct or not, and if they think that the issue is important and it has to have a fix quickly, they include that fix or that bug in the Bounties board. So once the bug is in the Bounties board, you can check it in the column that is open. Those are like the PRs that any developer can select and start working on it. So if you want to work on that PR, you have to comment there in the open issue and say, hey, I want to work on this. And that then the QA team will assign you to that PR. And once you are assigned to that PR, you should create, to that bug, you should create a new branch in your fork, start working on your PR. And well, one important thing is that before you submit your PR, you should run obviously the test and the coverage just to check that you have you have to run the coverage just to check that your PR won't be rejected by GitHub, and then commit your PR. Yeah, Memento, that's a good point. You shouldn't start working until it is assigned to you, because, for example, if you are working in, I don't know, 10 bugs, and you say, hey, I want to work on that too, you have to be assigned to the QA team will say who is the one that is going to solve that issue. Memento says, but how do you know that you can fix it? Yeah, the problem is that we don't know if we don't really know if the developer can fix the issue, because we don't know you and you are not working we are not like a company that has developers. We are just working with the centralized developers. And if you are not able to fix it, probably we are trying to have the time of 1 week. I mean, how do I know that I can fix it if I don't start working on it? Well, you can review the code, and if you want to, I think that question is more like, how do you know if you can fix a bug until you fix it? It's like if you are working in a company and I am the engineering manager and I say, hey, Memento, you have to fix this PR, you're not going to say to me, hey, let me try to fix it, and then I will tell you if you can assign that bug to me. It's more like, hey, just do this work, and then if you have any issue, let me know. That's why. If not, it's like 30 people will start working in different PRs. Once they have the solution ready, they will say, hey, I want to work on this. That's not how it works. It's like, hey, I want to work on this PR. It's like you are trying to put your effort to fix that bug, and you also think that you are able or you have the knowledge to fix that bug. So if you don't know anything about Hummingbot, or you don't know anything about about how to code Python, probably it's not a good idea to say, hey, assign this bug to me. It's better to practice, to check the code, to see how other people is solving the PRs. And then when you feel ready, you can start working on some PR. But it's like the process. Okay. Well, right now we have the issue open of the return ccore gateway search false and conf directory and Docker client build, the cross-exchange market making, incorrect rate Oracle conversion, gateway v2 unable to create gateway after using update sh helper script, and gateway v2 failed to connect to Uniswap LP. Those are the open bugs that we have right now in the Bounties board. So, well, the idea is that if you think that you can fix that bug, you comment there, and it will be assigned to you. So you have to do whatever you know to fix it, and if there are missing pieces, you should search for. Yeah, that's true. It's like you never know that you can solve the issue or one problem until you really solve that. But the idea is that I think that you can solve any issue, or you can Google to check why it's failing or which is the problem. And then if you submit a PR that is not correct, I will tell you, hey, you have to fix this, or this is not a good implementation, and I will let you know why. So, well, anyone has another question about the Bounties board, or how this process is working? Okay. Well, we have the third topic. The third topic was the Bounties board. So, well, also one thing that we determined with the foundation team is that probably there are some bugs that, and that's why we have this call too, to interact with the community and check if you have anything that we are missing. The idea is that also you can say, hey, this bug, I think that is important, it's in the code base, it's bothering me, and I cannot use the bot, or anything that you think that is important, that is a bug, not an improvement, because in the Bounties board you only find bugs. So here is where you can say, hey, I would like to include this bug in the Bounties board. If everyone is agree with that, we can include that. So not only the entries of the Bounties board are determined by the foundation, but also the community can say, hey, I think that this bug is important. So this is the moment. If you have any bug that you are experiencing in the client and it's not solved or it's not in the Bounties board, just let us know or just post the link of the bug here. And the idea is that we are going to add it and review if it's really a bug or an enhancement. And if it's a bug, we are going to include that in the code base. I don't know if anyone has one of those. Okay. Well, there is no bugs that you want to report, but okay. I see that in the call there is Arakel. So he told me in private yesterday, and he was to propose an improvement in Hummingbot, and I let him know that probably the best way is to create a discourse forum, a discourse thread to explain what is he's trying to accomplish, and also he can also present this in the community calls and discuss if do you think that is a good improvement or not, just to let you know which is the thing that he's trying to accomplish. So, well, Raquel, if you want, you can write on the community call chat or ask to join the stage and comment your idea. Well, I don't know. What do you want? Are you there? Okay. I don't know if he's there or not, but well. The main idea I can explain which he's trying to accomplish. He wants to as I don't know if all of you knows, but Hummingbot for strategies has another file that is Hummingbot Quick Start that lets you auto start Hummingbot strategies with a config file directly. So you just run a Hummingbot Quick Start -f and the name of the file -p and the password of the client, and that will auto start Hummingbot with a strategy. That functionality is only supported for strategies. And right now, a lot of people is moving from strategies to scripts because the scripts lets you code in an easy way strategies in Hummingbot. And currently we are having like a bot camp where we are teaching the people how to code scripts, how to use the order book and all those stuff. So he coded a script, and now he wants to auto start the script, but that functionality is not available. So he's trying to propose that we include in the quick start file the option to also auto start scripts and incorporate that functionality in the code base. So I think that it's an easy implementation, but well, the thing about Hummingbot is that we are not going to improve the code base anymore until we know that the community wants that improvement. So that's why we are talking about that here, and we want to know what you think about that. Is he looking at it? I thought about doing that something back, but it seemed to take more than a few hours. I don't really know if he started looking at it, but maybe he can add more description. That this is important. We shouldn't start working on it until it's really approved by the community, and we have an HIP that includes that, and the HIP is approved. So, well, the first thing is that if the community is interested in having that feature or not. Okay, yeah, I agree. I think that this will be a nice feature to have that auto start for the scripts. B8387 is writing. Yes, it's useful, but I think it's not the most important thing right now, guys. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, well, the next thing about this would be like to create this Discord thread, share that thread with the community, probably in the dev call, in the dev channel, or in the general channel. Once it is created and the people know why it's important to have this feature for Aracle, he can create the HIP, and if the voting is in favor, some dev can implement it. We could merge that feature in the Hummingbot code base. But well, that's why I think that it is important to have all the community aligned with this. For example, P83837 says things that is not necessary to have that right now. There are more important things. For example, I don't know, to upgrade the connectors or something like that. But well, that's why we are community driven, and the idea is that the community decides which is the future of the code base and which are the topics that we have to work on, and not focus on different ideas. So my mentor is in love with augmented pure Python. But no, I think that the most, I think that also augmented pure Python is not so important as fixing the connectors, fixing the bugs, having the connectors upgraded. I think that those things right now are more important than continue improving or creating improvements in the code base. Because if we have a good baseline, if we have a good version of all the connectors, if we see that the code base is very stable, if we can use Uniswap, if you can create a strategy doing whatever you want without any issue, I think that is more important than adding features or new features to the bot, because it's like a very good start point to then construct new things. Right now, I think that Hummingbot works very well with a lot of connectors, but it's more like fixing issues on the existing connectors, fixing issues on strategies. That's more important to give more to give the users a better experience while they are using Hummingbot. So that's why we are creating this Bounties Board, and we're trying to work with the developers in terms of having a better user experience for the Hummingbot users. So well, I'm also working on the indicators project by my side. So also that's another thing. And another thing is that we are going to provide more examples of how to code scripts. For example, I will create a script example of how to code a simple pure market making strategy that places 2 orders of the mid price. And the good thing about showing this, for example, one pure market, the simple pure market making strategy, another example that has a pure market making plus the price seeding price floor feature, for example. And the good thing about this is that with a few lines of code, you will know how to code or tweak the code to make whatever you want with that strategy. And it's much more easy to tweak or to change or make your custom script than modify a strategy that has a lot of lines of code and is in Python, like pure market making. And you can obviously have good results with that too. But well, I think that improving the strategies, not improving, but first fixing the bugs is much more important than other things. But I also think that the auto start is a good idea. So, well, that's why the community has to decide if it's not a thing to do now or well. So, well, I think that we cover all the topics for today. I don't know if anyone has another question, another thing that we want to discuss. Well, one thing is like I would like to say congratulations and also thank you to some of the devs that are working very hard. For example, Memento, Vias Folio. Well, right now I don't know if the Discord handles are the same of the ones that you have in GitHub, but I know that this Chaos and Memento are working very hard in the bugs. So well, congratulations to you guys. You're making a good job. Here appears Arakel. The feature provide auto start Hummingbot instead from source in script mode. I think it's important to manage several bots. Yeah, one thing about that is that it is the same to run it from source or from Docker. It is using the same interface for that. And one thing that I didn't mention is that right now Kialpanagi and the host Roger are working on the orchestration module that will let you control multiple bots with a web application. So you can send commands like the Telegram integration that you can send, for example, start and start the strategy or change the config of the strategy or stop the bot. Well, that integration will let you directly like send the inputs to the command line of the bot, to the terminal of the bot. For example, the command start script and the name of the script, it can be used with that integration. So I think that solution will cover also the auto start of the scripts with that. Not if you want to do it like it is right now for the strategies, but if you have the client created, you can start and stop it with that solution too. So I think that could be another alternative for this. But well, Raquel, the next step is to create the thread, share the thread in the Discord channel, and then create the HIP. So with that, we can start voting about this improvement. Well, I don't know if anyone has another question. If not, we can finish the call for today, and we can join again next week. Okay, goodbye. Well, bye-bye.